And with that, Judge Dillon, when you are ready for an update from the Court of Appeals.
I'm Chris Dillon of the Court of Appeals. Thanks for having me. I used to teach 8th grade Sunday school, and whenever I would ask who would like to close in prayer, nobody would look at me. So, and they would always sit like y'all are sitting, like way back there. So, but that's fine. Thank y'all so much for the invitation. I love coming to these events, and I ran into Dan Hartsaw the other night, he was somebody had come up to him and said, "Thank you for signing that thing that y'all saw that thing that came out about the attack on the judiciary and stuff like that." I would say I was on judicial standards, and I would say the thing that I saw a lot of, or some of, because we do have heated political races. Perhaps you've noticed some of that. Um, Something I noticed, and I tried to just encourage judges on both sides not to do, and I see attorneys do it too, and I don't think they think about it. Is if a judge or judges make a decision and you don't like it, you certainly, I guess, could say, I think that's a bad decision. I think even if you weren't on the case, I think it's probably not good for our law, whatever. I think the thing you just cannot do as officers of the court is to say, that judge did that because of a political reason or because they don't like women or because if you cannot ascribe an improper motive. Because if you do that, you're basically saying that judge is violating the code of the judicial canon. If you know it, go turn them in. I mean, and that's what I would tell the other judges. You can't say things like that in the political ads. You can't say, you can call somebody perhaps an activist judge or whatever, because that may be a judicial philosophy, but you can't call them an activist Republican or activist Democrat because you're saying they're carrying the water. So I would just, please encourage your colleagues, if you ever see them just involve any kind of comment, we do have a duty to try to keep the integrity of the judiciary. Judges do, and we all do it. And as the world seems to get more political, it seems like, I just think we just have to be careful about that because I do see that, and it's just a little nuance that I've noticed. I mean, we all have First Amendment free speech rights, but if we're officers of court, somebody has to appear before that judge the next day, and you basically called that judge a crook, and they won't get a fair hearing. And so you just got to, if you know it, turn them in. But if you don't know it, you could disagree and all that. That's just sort of my little soapbox issue that I'd kind of tell both sides when I was head of judicial standards. But I do see sometimes attorneys go in the press asking for comment about a decision, and you can certainly criticize it, but just be careful about ascribing motives to a judge unless that would be totally improper unless you know it. Um, uh, I think we're seeing at the Court of Appeals. Obviously, we're seeing more cases coming through now. It's picked up more this year than last year. Um, and I spoke with one of my colleagues at the Supreme Court, and they're saying they're trying to get their case level up to about 80 plus cases a year. And he told me they're pretty much caught up there, so they're doing pretty well. I know that there's e-courts going on, and I don't work in the trial level, and I'm sure there's issues that everybody's working through. But I think the goal is to try to get all the counties up to speed and on that system by the end of the year. And I would also say that I had the opportunity to take some of my interns or all the interns at the Court of Appeals down to the business court in Raleigh, and we heard a hearing that Judge Mark Davis gave, and I had never been in a business court setting, and we don't hear the appeals from the Court of Appeals anymore. But I will say that I've heard a lot of good comments about our business court here, and we have some good business court judges, and I understand that. Like Chief Judge Robinson went down to Texas pretty recently because they were asking us how do we do it, and I think a lot of businesses and whatever are starting to choose North Carolina. So I think our judiciary is doing pretty well, and we have great attorneys, and so I really appreciate y'all. I love seeing y'all when y'all come to the Court of Appeals. I love just seeing you around, and I appreciate y'all reaching out to us and inviting us to these events. But that is just my one encouragement. I know you can disagree with stuff, and we can get in the political system, but just try to encourage each other not to ascribe a bad motive to a judge, because I mean, unless you know it, and we shouldn't be doing it for a bad motive. But because we all have a duty to try to, keep some type of public confidence in our judiciary because it's really the best system in the world. So thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you all back here at 10 o'clock. So thank you.